All right, welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Thursday, August 22nd, 2024, or Friday Eve, as some people like to call it now. The 235th day of the year, 131 to go, and it's National Burger Day in the USA. The hamburger, as we know it today, made its official debut in 1904 at a St. Louis food festival, but it is not attributed to St. Louis. There are several theories about where, when, and how the hamburger was invented, but most believe it came from Hamburg or Hamburg, Germany. Either way, there will be plenty of specials at all of your favorite places today. And for the record, 1904 is a year before pizza came to America from Italy, 1905 in New York City. Before we get into night 3 of the DNC and the Trump rally in NC, have you asked yourself what I've been asking myself? Who the hell is running the country right now? President Biden is on vacation, mentally and physically, as I said yesterday. The vice president is campaigning to be the president and preparing for her big acceptance speech tonight. And nearly all of Washington is in Chicago. If something would have happened, at 2, 3 in the morning this morning or tomorrow morning, who is Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin going to call? We know that the great people of our military are watching over us and keeping the country safe, right? But who is going to make a decision or respond if need be? Is it just me or is that concerning? All right, so this is one of the big sound bites from last night that some of the media is talking about today.
And the only personal vanity I want to assert is I'm still younger than Donald Trump.
President Bill Clinton, like almost everybody else in the arena who loved 81-year-old Joe Biden a month or two ago. Now they're trying to paint Donald Trump as the old guy. Vice presidential nominee Tim Walz didn't take the stage until well after 11 p.m. Eastern.
It's the honor of my life to accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States.
The two most important speeches thus far, right? President Biden and vice presidential nominee Tim Walz buried late in the night. Either they don't really want America to see and hear them, or they're catering to the liberal West Coast, right? Going to get to more of the convention and the Trump-Vance rally in a moment, but I wanted to make sure to get this in, so I'm going to do it right up front. Newsmax host Rob Finnerty and the Prime News crew is in San Francisco this week, the city where Vice President Kamala Harris was a district attorney and then the Attorney General of the host state of California. In this segment, Rob is walking the streets of San Francisco. Remember that great show, by the way? He's walking the streets of San Francisco with a San Francisco police officer.
So what was that?
That's just a guy who's your typical on drugs. Doesn't really know where he's at, sees a camera crew, and knows that you guys are out of place, and he gets a little upset. Let's be truthful, you don't want to walk up there.
No.
But there's kids that have to go to school here. There's Betsy Carmichael's school here. They have to walk through this. We are out here trying to do the best we can, but when we're such short-staffed, there's not much you can do. I know people from when I came in 1995 have base rock cocaine. They're still living. But I don't know what the life expectancy is for fentanyl, but I see a lot of people are using fentanyl, and then they die. They die faster than someone based around cocaine.
At least the way I was raised, if you were doing drugs in public in front of a police officer,
correct,
you'd get arrested.
You would get arrested, and
I mean, there are people doing drugs right now in broad daylight.
Correct.
It's not lunchtime yet. And people are doing drugs now.
Yes.
In front of a police officer, and nobody cares. What kind of drugs are they doing?
Due to the glass pipe right there, that'll be methamphetamine.
Methamphetamine's right there,
yes.
Crystal meth.
Yes. She had a pipe in her right hand.
And I don't know if you guys can get this, but this is, again, we're talking about apartments that were beautiful.
Yes.
Probably still are expensive.
Very expensive.
And this is what's going on across the street. You want to raise a family here? What about crime down here? I mean, this feels like a powder keg. It feels like a powder keg, and it's still morning.
Correct.
I mean, can you imagine that? Living in an apartment like that, right there. Joining me now to react is Dennis Prager, the founder and president of PragerU. Dennis Prager, so nice to have you in. Can I just get your reaction to what you just saw?
You can. I can really put it in one sentence, or I could spend hours. So here's one sentence. The left destroys everything it touches. There is no area of life where that is not true. It has destroyed universities, high schools, elementary schools. It has destroyed families. People don't even want to make families because of left-wing influence on their lives. Why get married? Why make a family? It's not worth it. Whatever they touch, music, art, architecture, it started early in the 20th century. Free speech, literally name it. And San Francisco is the most emblematic example of what they have done.
The great Dennis Prager on Prime News with Rob Finnerty. Make sure you catch Prime News tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, live from the once amazing city of San Francisco. It's still amazing, but a different kind of amazement, right? Okay, so Donald Trump held his first outdoor rally since being shot a month ago in Pennsylvania. And to add to the excitement, Trump Force One did a flyover of the crowd gathered at the North Carolina Aviation Museum, or maybe they were just checking rooftops. I don't know.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's great to be here. What a place. Did you like the flyover? That was pretty good. We were going low and fast. That was moving along. That was pretty low. Just want to thank JD. He's doing a fantastic job, and I want to thank North Carolina. I love North Carolina. I love them. 76 days from now, we're going to win this state, and we're going to win the White House, that beautiful, beautiful building. That beautiful building. I want to thank Senator Ted Budd, who's doing such a great job. Senator Ted Budd, thank you. Thank you. Great job, Ted. Mark Robinson, he's out there. He's fighting. He's fighting. He's a great one. And I think we have a lot of our sheriffs here, don't we have? Where are they? Will this stage hold them? I'd love to bring them up. Come on, sheriffs, get up here. Mark, come on. I don't know if this stage is going to hold them, but if it doesn't, we've had bigger risks than this. Right? Come on, sheriffs. If you weigh more than 200 pounds, don't come up. I'm only kidding. Come on. Hi, fellas. Thank you very much. Welcome to North Carolina.
So Trump is welcoming about 20 North Carolina sheriffs on stage, shaking their hands one by one.
Before we begin, I want to address the massive scandal around the revised job numbers that were just announced this morning, a little while ago, just before I came up. I got to see them. And it really isn't a revision. It's a total lie. Total lie. There's never been any revision like this. They wanted it to come out after the election, but somehow it got leaked. It got leaked. Government leaks too. The Harris-Biden administration has been caught fraudulently manipulating job statistics to hide the true extent of the economic ruin that they've inflicted on America. The new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the administration padded the numbers with an extra, listen to this one, 818,000 jobs that don't exist. So they said they existed, and they never did exist. They built them up so that they could say what a wonderful job they're doing. No, we've never had numbers like this. They don't exist. They thought they could do it sometime after, we have an election coming up very quickly, but they wanted this to come out after November 5th when it wouldn't have meant so much, but it came out a little early, so there's a patriot in there someplace, right? The real numbers are much worse than that, and Comrade Kamala, she's comrade, the most radical left person ever to run for a high political office in our country.
Donald Trump speaking in North Carolina yesterday, and this is fact. The Labor Department said Wednesday that the number of jobs the economy added in the year, that's the big jobs report that I'm always talking about, pretty much the first Friday of every month, the non-farm payrolls were likely 818,000 less than what was reflected or reported in the monthly reports. The same way political polls can be manipulated, right? You always hear about that. Economic data can also be manipulated. The same way they reported on crime statistics without including several high crime cities. I mean, you could massage these things to make them look like whatever you want them to look like, right? Do not believe everything you see and read, especially during an election year. Now, Wall Street analysts project the Labor Department's revision would cut about 70,000 jobs per month from the report, about 1 million for the year. The final revision will not be released until February of 2025, long after the election. Trump did speak from behind bulletproof glass, but walked out into the crowd when a woman in the crowd had a medical emergency.
It is very hot here, I noticed. It's very hot. And a lot of the people waited for days to get here, so I understand it. Take your time, doctor. Take your time. Thank you.
If you were watching the rally on Newsmax, you know Trump walked over to the woman to see if she was okay. She apparently was okay. He gave her a hug. He also signed her hat.
I try and be nice to people, you know? You know, they always say, sure, please stick to policy, don't get personal. And yet they're getting personal all night long, these people.
Referencing all the attacks against him at the DNC. And back in Chicago, Newsmax reporter Mike Carter spoke with some veterans at the famous Rosie's Diner.
Tom, last night Michelle Obama says, look, no one owns a right. No one owns a monopoly on what it means to be an American. But when you think back on those former comments of hers, when she said it was the first time she felt proud to be an American was when her husband was running for president. How did that hit you?
Well, first of all, I didn't watch much of it, but I did hear some on the radio this morning, some response in that. And I don't think she is a good American. I don't think she can speak for Americans. It's not a monopoly. It's an American for the people. So I'm not a fan of Michelle Obama or the Obamas at all. But hey,
Russ, look, the Obama's name looms large in this state. Was Barack Obama, how does his legacy still reign here in Illinois and in Chicago? Is that a good legacy to have?
Well, I think in Illinois, which is a screwed up state for many reasons, and I think in Chicago, it's even worse than the state. But how can Barack and how can Michelle look around this fabulous country with all the benefits we have, with the richness of our economy, which they have deteriorated under his reign and under Biden's reign. They've ruined the country, and we're going downhill. We have a wonderful country, and we're being beat up. And if we lose this election, we're going to go down twice as fast as we did during the Biden administration.
Of course, there's a lot of policies that are enacted here in Chicago that a lot of people say just aren't working. And some people worry that Democrats want to see the rest of the country look like Chicago. We want to get back to some other veterans. We'll come back to you, Russ and Tom. Thank you very much. Lou, we're live on Newsmax right now. We want to ask you a question. Kamala Harris, she's running for president right now. This is a woman as vice president who says she was the last person in the room when it came to Joe Biden making the decision about the Afghanistan withdrawal. We know about how disastrous that withdrawal was. Should she be entrusted with 4 years more as president of the United States?
Hell no. I said, if you look what's happened in the last 3.5 years where she's been the vice president, signing a lot of documents that are really contrary to what's going on today. You know, I have no respect for the vice president, or now going to become the president as she thinks. I have absolutely no respect.
Joe Biden said in that first debate that the veteran community in this country supports him over Donald Trump. Of course, he's no longer the party's nominee. It is Kamala Harris. But who do veterans overwhelmingly support? Is it going to be Kamala Harris or is it going to be Donald Trump?
The veterans are going to 95% are going to report really Donald Trump is going to be their number one choice.
Why do you say that?
Because they are concerned, Trump is concerned about our veterans.
And fast forward to the topic of crime in the Windy City.
Crime is rapid in Chicago. You know, you can't, it's like gunfight at the OK Corral on the south side of Chicago. So, where's this country coming to? If a normal person can't feel safe walking down the street at night, the number one job is protect our citizens. Keep crime. Why are the stores being boarded up?
Well, that's exactly something we did not see with the RNC in Milwaukee. We didn't see stores boarded up in Chicago. We have seen that this week. Lou, thank you very much, guys. We're talking to veterans here at Rosie's Diner all morning. We'll bring that to you right here on Newsmax.
All right.
Mike Carter, I'm sure, will be bringing you more great interviews and information from Chicago today. Vice presidential nominee and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, like other speakers before him last night, pushed the Project 2025 narrative.
They spent a lot of time pretending they know nothing about this. But look, I coached high school football long enough to know, and trust me on this, when somebody takes the time to draw up a playbook, they're going to use it.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis used the 920-page document created by several conservative organizations, including the Heritage Foundation, as a prop, quoting specifically, trying to be really cool, from page 451 about legitimate and illegitimate families. But what he said wasn't true, according to CNN fact-checkers who identified several lies, beginning with the fact that it is not Donald Trump's agenda, and he didn't write it, as Delaware Congresswoman Lisa Blunt claimed last night. She's running for the Senate, and she's running around telling people Donald Trump wrote Project 2025. The document lists many authors, editors, and contributors, and Donald Trump is not any of them. His name is not listed anywhere. Yes, a lot of people responsible for it worked for the Trump organization or have ties to Trump. That is true. But people that work for the Biden-Harris administration do coke in the White House and steal luggage from airports. So is Joe Biden a coke-sniffing luggage stealer? It's absurd. What's also absurd is joy. Joy, 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 joy. Every person there somehow, some way squeezed it into their speech. And Project 25. Those are the two things that you've heard the most about thus far at the Democratic National Convention. You haven't heard anything about policy. If you've been watching coverage of the convention on Newsmax, then you know that Greg Kelly and Mercedes Schlapp have been working very hard to bring you all of it and have been pretty entertaining as well. Last night, among the many people that they spoke with, retired Brigadier General Blaine Holt talked about Tim Walz's love for China.
Here's the deal. We know that Tim Walz used language such as talking about communism almost in a positive light, being equal, each one of us equal to each other, that there's food that's distributed. This came out in the Washington Free Beacon, basically praising this Chinese communism as a system where everyone shares. Your reaction?
Diversity, equity, inclusion. Ooh. These are Marxist tenets. He is a Marxist. Let me be very clear on TV. He is a communist. He taught high school in China. He had that business. He said he wanted his honeymoon to be on the anniversary of Tiananmen Square in effigy for the Chinese Communist Party. I was a kid in Hong Kong at the opening. I got to go to Canton, now Guangzhou, in 1977. I saw human slavery up close and personal. Communism is just wonderful if you're in the elite ruling class, which Tim intends to be. What I'm bothered about as a military general is because of that relationship with China, he never qualified for a secret clearance from the get-go. What was the Guard thinking in allowing this airman to come into our ranks when he has this background with China and continued to prosecute it, leading to a police station from the CCP in Minnesota? There is no greater friend to Xi Jinping than Tim Walz.
Look, this stuff does sound like he would fail a standard FBI background check for a federal job if you were applying, say, 20 years ago, right? This is deal breaker stuff.
They also spoke with Rudy Giuliani, who surprisingly is at the DNC.
They're trying to make her seem like she's tough on crime. She's a tough prosecutor. I mean, you understand law enforcement well. You were an attorney general. Give us a sense, like, how they're getting away with this.
Well, they're not really. I mean, they're covering up with words like she's joyful, she's happy. The joy part is to really cover up her hyena laugh, which is now going to be interpreted as she's just lots of fun. She's lots of fun. You know, the other guy, Walz, when he was a defensive coordinator, was described as a goofball. Most of his players described him, he was goofy.
He's still
now take
goofy.
a look at him. But not only is he goofy, that's after 30 trips to China, telling us that socialism is like neighborliness, telling us that his best vacation was in China. He must have had some pretty awful vacations.
Right.
I was in China 3 times. China, you don't want to go back if you understand freedom and democracy. 30 times? First trip paid for by Harvard. And what's Harvard's relationship with China? Few people have gone to jail for that. Somebody's got to take a good look as to whether or not this guy isn't exactly what we're worried about, as a teacher who brainwashes children. Because if he was teaching those kids that one man's socialism is another man's neighborliness, then he's teaching brainwashing.
Former New York City Mayor, Attorney General, and former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani on Newsmax. Make sure you catch the final night of the DNC coverage on Newsmax tonight. Be sure to keep up with all of the news throughout the day and tonight on Newsmax, Newsmax.com, and Newsmax Plus, where you get the most complete lineup of all your favorite shows and hosts. I'm Tony Marino. All your favorite shows and guests. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you for checking out the Newsmax Daily. Continue to share it with your friends and family. Subscribe from whatever podcast platform you are listening on. Enjoy the rest of your day and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Hey, it's Jerry Callahan from The Callahan Show. You can listen to us every day. We react to the latest news, politics, sports, and all the madness in the world. I'll give you my opinion with a little edge, a little attitude. I'm an unapologetic right-winger, trapped behind enemy lines in deep blue Boston, so I'm used to taking on the mainstream media mob. You can hear us anywhere you get your podcast, or you can listen every day at newsmax.com/listen.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.